everyone, my name is Cheryl Thompson and I'm a national swimmer out of Eagles Aquatics International, and I'm extending an invitation to all teenage swimmers and their parents to a 4-part webinar series entitled Building of a New Era. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, there would have been so many disruptions to the world and also for the athletes. Measures of success would have been removed, financial resources would have been depleted as a result, and so many different things. Social schedules, social and educational schedules would have been turned upside down. So I'm really extending an invitation to all athletes who are desiring to push past their present circumstances to be able to be equipped to be resilient and to be successful even beyond this adversity caused by the pandemic. So join me via Zoom starting July 4th, and I'm really excited about the guest speakers that are lined up for you all. So stay tuned to my social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram for more details. See you all there.
Good evening and welcome to episode number 5 of Chlorine Callaloo, right here on Trinidad Freestyle's Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. If this is the first time you're with us, welcome. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you for joining in each and every week. Chlorine Callaloo is a production of Trinidad Freestyles where we feature anything that could happen in a swimming pool. So it will range from swimming, water polo, dragon boats, recreational swimming, learn to swim. Anything that could happen in the pool, we feature here on Chlorine Callaloo. We ask you to like our Facebook page, Trinidad Freestyles, and also go onto our Instagram and also like our page, which is also Trinidad Freestyles. Have him there. Good evening, Mr. Walcott.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening. So if you don't know Mr. Walcott, he has been involved in fitness. Mr. Walcott, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have been involved in sports.
I've been involved in sports for more than 55 years. As an athlete, as a trainer, as a massage therapist.
Right.
And I'm now into massaging and aqua running with my daughter, who's also a doctor.
Right. And Explain something, because I mean, we hear in aqua running, we really don't know what that is. And you hear about aqua therapy, you hear about aqua aerobics. Can you like tell us what's the difference among the three?
Aqua aerobics is a general exercise in the water for general fitness.
Right.
Aquatherapy is directed to healing and recovery of injuries. Aqua running is an interval training program, high
Right.
intensity with recovery, to improve different types of fitness for especially professional, semi-professional athletes or
Right.
people who want a higher level of physical activity to suit their needs.
All right. So is it that I mean, aqua running, you don't really hear about that in Trinidad and Tobago. Is it that you saw a need for it within the athletes, that aqua running would have been a good fit to help them? What was the thought about bringing aqua running to Trinidad?
It started with our first gold medalist hurdler. He was injured, he had surgery, and he was at UE.
Right.
And he needed to sustain his fitness while recovering. So I was asked by Dr. Glodon to do some training because I also did aqua aerobics.
Right.
And then I asked permission. He won the gold medal after that. And I asked permission to continue this training for the general public.
Right.
And the coach said it was all right.
So have you seen, now normally when I see the aqua running classes, you see people of different ages, abilities. Who really should do aqua running?
Anybody that is desirous and has been given permission by the medical practitioner can do aqua running. Anyone.
So why should a athlete do aqua running as opposed to go and join an aqua aerobics class?
Because of the intensity of the training, the load that is required for you to succeed.
Right.
Most of the time, you're over 80 to 90% of your maximum capacity. It removes the high impact. It gives you a different avenue to recover and keep training. It lengthens your life.
Right.
There are also people who are injured who you can do aqua running, so you retain your cardiovascular fitness while you're recovering. And that is very important for athletes or other people who are very active.
Right. So you said you're doing sport for 50, how much years?
Approximately 55 years.
55 years. Why are you in this thing so long? Well, I didn't even know you were 55 years old.
I am older than that.
What made you so passionate about it?
Because there's a payback. For instance, many years ago, I had brain surgery.
Right.
And it was recommended that I do an activity that can support while I do the activity. Aqua environment was the recommended environment. I've seen athletes whose lifespan has been shortened, the activity, because they don't have the right environment and supervision. So it helps, it works. At my age, I am still very active, although I am older, according to what you say, so that it extends your life as an active athlete or active person.
So should people I know some people use it as recovery when they're injured, but should people use it as cross training as well? Should swimmers use aqua running as part of the cardio program?
Maybe because they do land work,
right,
resistance, but it must fall into the coach's plan. The coaches, they can structure once they understand. This is not a stand by itself for athletes or professional athletes. They can swimmers, but they work horizontally most of the times, and this is vertical work that works with a lot of core and stuff. I've had coaches from swim clubs also send athletes to do work.
So Aqua Running is what? How could people get involved? If you want people to get involved in your Aqua Running class, how can they get in contact with you all? How can they be a part of the program?
Well, the main program right now, the only program in Trinidad and Tobago is done at this pool at Center of Excellence. You come in, you fill out a form. If you have a problem, you speak to the doctor, who is also one of the assistants instructor.
Right.
You must see your doctor and get permission, and then we go from there. You have 2 classes where we assess you, and then we fit into the required intensity or workload.
What kind, now some people may not be or may not consider them to be athletes. They probably just want to lose weight. Is it a great form of weight loss as well? If somebody just has
excellent form. As a matter of fact, you burn fat for 48 hours after. You continue to burn fat.
Right.
If anybody research aerobics to interval training, they will see the difference. Not only that, the last 30 years, all the world records have been broken using interval training.
Right.
Aerobics is structured around interval training.
And I noticed, I mean, before it used to be you alone conducting the class, I noticed your daughter is fully involved as well. Is it that you're passing the battle? Is it that you're just expanding? Is it that you're not just training additional persons? What's that about?
It is all both. Not only passing the baton, but there are many other people who are interested. And the class has gotten so big. Safety is a very important thing.
Right.
And so that you have to have something more than one instructor, supervisor. We may have to use more than one side of the pool. When you have 40 people, 50 people in a pool, you need a lot of supervision. Extremely important for safety. And they need to know in detail what is right, what is wrong,
right.
What you have to do.
I mean, I remember once I did a class with you, and I remember I couldn't sleep the night because I felt like if the body was still going.
Definitely, for 48 hours, the body continues to burn fat, and even the human growth hormone is also released for muscle building, which is a very significant thing. Right. What you suffered for something called residual excitation, that you keep burning long after 48 hours after your body keeps losing fat and building muscle.
Okay. So, Mr. Walcott, final word for you. Anything you want to say to Trinidad and Tobago about aqua running or anything about sport in general?
I think, like COVID-19,
right.
Things will take you down. This is a new thing for us. It's all in the world, but it's a new activity in Trinidad and Tobago. And the only place it's being done at the moment is at the Center Excellence Pool. If you do not believe, come and see or come and test it out. And please go online and research it, and then you'll understand. We are behind the ball in this activity, but we're getting there.
Mr. Walcott, I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to come out and give us information on aqua running, and also thank you for your commitment to sport in general over the last 50 plus years, and wish you all the best. And what time, if they need to get to the class, what time are the classes?
That will have to be decided now that we're reopening.
Right.
And you let them know. But there's also, I must mention, it is with the help of God.
All right.
I must recognize God and mention the help of God that we have been able to do this and do this for so long. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Walcott.
Hey parents, life in sport for your son or daughter as an athlete is bound to have some challenges as well as setbacks, but being an effective communicator helps to groom them so that they have the best chance of achieving their dreams as well as aspirations. My name is Dr. Buffong, and I'm the Medical Director at Stratosa Coaching and Consulting, and I'm also a General Practitioner at the Venus Clinic. And today, I just wanted to take some time to emphasize how important effective communication is in assisting your athlete in becoming the best that they can be. Now, you as a parent would know your athlete best, but here are some guidelines that you can use to bring the best out of your children as they go through their life in sport. Firstly, remember and be aware that they hear your words, but they also remember how you make them feel. So be mindful of your attitude and emotions while communicating with them. Sometimes, when given negative feedback, it's good to remind them of their positive attributes and traits so that they always remember that your relationship with them is greater than any situation. Be mindful of your timing when having those crucial and critical conversations so that it doesn't negatively impact their performance in competitions as well as their mindset and approach to training. Be a listening ear. Listen, listen, and listen. Listen to the words that they say, and also listen to the words that aren't spoken, and use your eyes to observe their behaviors as well as their emotions. And last but not least, never forget to use these powerful phrases time and time again to reinforce that you are their support. I love you, I care about you, and I'm here for you. Because at the end of the day, as a parent, you being their emotional and physical support goes a long way in helping them to be the best athlete that they can be. I remember being an athlete once, and I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I did in swimming if it wasn't for my parent support both physically and emotionally. And remember that effectively communicating with your children goes a long way in assisting them to alleviate their anxiety as well as fears, to build their self-image and their morale, to rebound from their failures as well as setbacks, and to build their overall emotional resilience. So I hope this was some help for you, and all the best. Take care. Bye.
Okay, no problem. So good night, everybody. And tonight we actually have a two-part series on what we're going to be discussing. The first part is things to consider when doing testing and how it could actually help improve the sport. So the first thing you want to look at is the content validity, and that answers the question if you should do this testing and why you should do this testing. It's safe to say that swimming is a pull and push sport, and it's mostly unilateral. So these things you could consider when you're gonna do the different testing. And also the why, you should really take that into consideration, because sometimes certain exercises or certain tests does not apply to swimming, and it might apply to something else. So for example, if you're gonna do time trials for your swimmers, and one day I show up and say, okay, we're gonna float for 5 minutes, you're gonna look at me like, why am I doing that for 5 minutes? Like, why am I testing swimmers to float 5 minutes? But if you apply that same thing to a flight attendant, it makes more sense, because that is actually part of their syllabus, and that is something that is required for them to pass. So it's important to know why you're doing something and if you should actually incorporate it into your testing battery or into your program. A second thing you want to consider is the reliability of your testing. One thing, you should ensure that it's under the same conditions. So if you test 6 o'clock in the morning, try to do the other test at 6 in the morning to keep things consistent. And with that, you want to keep the tester similar. So if I am doing one test, then I should constantly be repeating that test rather than having different people come in, because it triggers a lot of stuff with the athletes, and they will get more comfortable with you. And seeing a change could actually affect the scores on their testing. You want to make sure that the instructions are clear and concise at all times, and the entire group knows what's going on and what we're going to do. And motivation, you want to ensure that you motivate all athletes or none at all. So if you're going to be motivating everybody, then you need to motivate throughout the entire test, throughout the first test, the second test, all the tests. So you can't motivate some athletes and don't motivate the others. It's all or none principle. So after you finish your testing, there are a couple ways you could compare the scores to see where your athletes are. And the first one is, which is the best one actually, is comparing the norm values to the sport and what other descriptive statistics other swimmers have in that area. And you can also do it based on their sex, based on their age, and based on the level that they're at to see where your swimmers stand in terms of other athletes as well. And the second thing you could do is, if you're not into that, if you can't find data on it, you just compare the scores based from the previous testing. So if, like in swimming, if you swim, let's say 25 seconds or whatever event, and then you do a second time trial when like 2 months down the road and you're at 28 seconds, then you know something is wrong. And because you look back at the scores and you could see what's wrong. So into the second session now, we're going to talk about how to progress these things and simple step-by-step guidelines to create a program now. So the first thing with athletes is, if you have beginners and if you're beginning a training program, you want to start off with 2 to 3 non-consecutive days. So you could do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I mean, as long as it's 24 hours break or recovery in between. So you want to start with light loads. You don't want to go too heavy within the first couple of weeks. I mean, I don't want to get too much into progression because that's another conversation. But you want to start with bodyweight exercises and gradually progress throughout the year, throughout the training program, or however long you actually have to start planning the program. If you are doing weights, you don't want to increase within 5 to 10% each week because the progression will be too high and athletes wouldn't be able to recover properly and will just have problems. You want to start off with 1 to 3 sets, 6 to 15 reps, nothing too crazy. It's okay to do 1 set of an exercise for dryland. I know it sounds like, is this enough? But sometimes it is, and you want to give the athletes time again to recover and get the correct adaptations that you're looking for within testing. And the most important thing is ensuring that it is systematically varied throughout the year. And because it's an inverse relationship with swimming, the volume and the load that you're going to have. So you can't have two high stressors at the same time. So for example, if they're doing a lot of swimming laps in the pool, then you want to make sure that your dry land is low and vice versa. If you're tapering for like a swim meet or whatever, you want to make sure that you don't taper the both things, but keep the intensity the same. Or you could amp it up a little bit to make sure that when one is high, the other one is low. And that's all for today on Dryland Dimensions.
All right. Good evening again. We're gonna do the JASE Justice segment before, so we could get Asia back on right after. So this segment is where I would express an opinion on things that go on in the community or in the chlorine. A few weeks ago, you would have seen that the government of Trinidad and Tobago would have turned the sod to a next swimming pool facility in Maloney in an effort to expand the amount of swimmers we have in Trinidad and Tobago. And my belief is we are in Trinidad and Tobago, we are very good at building buildings, not necessarily at maintaining them, not necessarily at building systems or building people. A lot of times we have noticed that the existing community pools and the existing facilities in Trinidad and Tobago, the government-run facilities, most of them, a lot of times they're frequently down. We cannot, if we could say how many athletes or national athletes have been actually generated from the community pool system and swimmers that actually come out of the community pool system, does it make sense actually put in an additional pool without being able to maximize the use of the existing facilities? And I think what we need to start to look at is focusing on developing people and developing a proper swimming program at the different community pools so we can get kids straight from the nursery to the tertiary, straight up from learn to swim straight to competitive swimming. I mean, until we start to get the correct formula, I mean, the National Aquatic Center is there, is not utilized as it should be, and every single community pool is underutilized, yet we are building an next one. So this is just a call for the powers that be to make sure that we put things in place, liaise with the national governing bodies, and the national governing body also has to play its role in ensuring that we have programs at these various facilities so that it would make sense when we spend taxpayers' money that it isn't a facility that is not going to be just there for elections, but going to be there to develop communities. We see what's going on today in Trinidad and Tobago, where we have a lot of people who are unhappy and reacting in a certain way. And we keep feeling the problem is to pelt money behind them or not build people. And I think that's the problem. We have to stop building buildings and start building people. Found you, Patricia. We found you.
We found each other.
What happened? Good afternoon. Good evening, Patricia Bartlett Campbell.
Good evening. Thank you.
How are you? How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. This is kind of a surprise. I'm really grateful.
Very well, Patricia Bartlett Campbell. I gave you your introduction when we were trying to find you, but
I heard it.
right. So this is a segment we call Flashback Freestyles. So you are one of our flashbacks, but you are a flashback freestyle that is still swimming.
Yeah.
How do you manage to keep going?
Well, I took 20 years off. I had 4 children, raised 4 children, full-time teacher. And then about 10 years ago, accidentally, my 2 younger kids were swimming with a team in Fort Worth. We moved to Fort Worth, Texas. And I used to follow them in the morning, and I realized, oh, there's a group of master swimmers swimming. And I was like, okay, what's this? So I decided to get in the water, and I was swimming very slowly at the back of the pack. And I was going, why are they swimming so fast? So I kept going once or twice a week. Then I went up to 3 times a week. And then one day I was talking to the coach, who is extremely good and very patient with me. And I said, hey, you know, I never want to swim in a swim meet. Never. I will never wear another Speedo. I don't want to do any of that. But I do want to do a time trial. I want to try to do a certain time in the 400 freestyle. And he said, oh, I can do that. But then unfortunately, the next day he died. He had a heart attack. He was in his 60s. He passed away. And I thought, wow, you know, I don't want that to happen to me. I lost my mother. My mother died at 62 years old. I'm 56 right now. And she passed away. And I said, I don't want to die young. I want to keep going. So I went ahead and tried to do the time, and I missed it. I didn't do it. So I had to wait a whole nother year, keep training. So I said, oh, I'm going to quit. But I kept training. And then I actually got the time, and I did better than I ever expected for myself. And the year I turned 50, and it made me feel so proud of myself. I just couldn't believe that I could actually do something like that, because I'm not really an athletic person, and I tried running and all the other stuff, and I wasn't very good. And somebody said to me, go back to what you're good at. And that always stuck with me. So I got back in the pool, and I haven't stopped. I mean, last year I missed 12 days of swimming because we were traveling. And I got my husband back in the pool because we met in the pool in Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma. So we both swim together every single day. And I wouldn't give it up again, ever again.
Right. What? I mean, you swam for Trinidad and Tobago, you said between 78 and 84. What was your most memorable performance at Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, my most memorable was when I went to Venezuela at the Pan Am Games, and I got into 2 finals. And that was kind of unheard of to get into 2 finals, the 200 and the 400 freestyle. But then I thought, when I was in Mexico, I won 2 gold medals at the CC Can Games. And back then we got to stand on the podium. and have our national anthem being played.
Hmm.
And standing on the podium and listening to the Trinidadian national anthem, Boys for the Love of Liberty, that was probably the most special moment I've ever had in my life. So now when I watch other people at the Olympics or games doing the same thing, I know how they feel. That sense of pride and just, your national anthem, your whole country, that's why you're there.
So how did you reach the point? When did you stop swimming for Trinidad and Tobago, and why?
Okay, so I went to the University of Oklahoma and I was 17. I was young. I even took an extra year in high school because I was 16 going to graduate. So I went when I was 17. And in Trinidad, as a girl, a female swimmer, you didn't have many choices. I didn't feel very smart when I wanted to stay and do A-levels. I didn't think that I was smart enough to do A-levels. And somehow I did really well on a test to get into university. And they offered me a full scholarship. So when I went, we swam yards, and I felt very obligated to the university because they were paying me. And if I didn't perform, I didn't get paid. And if I didn't get, scholarship, I'd have to go back home and I would have nothing, no education, nothing. So I swam in University from 1981 all the way to 1985. And I was touring the Trinidad in between. But about 1983, that's when I went to the Pan Am Games and I did really well. The Olympics were the next year. And of course, everybody wants to go to the Olympics. I'd won the Sports Woman of the Year twice. I felt like I'd done my part. Beginning of 1984, I did really well at school as far as swimming. But it was yards, and when you converted it to meters, it was the qualifying time for the Olympics. In fact, I looked at the results today, and I would have gotten 16 in the Olympics.
Right.
I would have been in the beat final and in the 200 freestyle. But unfortunately, I was in Trinidad, and I couldn't go back and swim meters to do the time. So I was so disheartened after that I just didn't go back. I finished school. I had another year of swimming, and I did really well again. And then I came back to Trinidad for the summer, started teaching swimming lessons. And when you teach swimming lessons back then, you couldn't swim because of the amateur status situation. And I was teaching 80 people a day swimming for 1 year, and I loved every minute of it. And then I got married, and my husband, he had another year after school left. So we got married in Trinidad and Pointe-a-Pierre. I flew back to America, but my goal was to come back to Trinidad and start a swimming school. And that was my goal. And Hasty Crawford, we kind of talked when I was 14 about our dream. That was my dream. He would do the track and I would do the swimming. And we'd form this community and teach swimming and help kids from around the Caribbean that didn't have the facilities and help them become better swimmers. And I always wanted to, but when I went back to the States, when my husband finished school, things in Trinidad got a little different. It was like the 1980s, late 80s, crime was going on. It just became a different place. And then my parents left. They went back to England. So I had nobody to go back to. And then, sorry, that was my cat. So I kind of, I feel bad. I've always wanted to go back and start my dream because I got so much in Trinidad. They gave me so much as far as swimming, the opportunities and everything. So I felt like I want to try and do that for somebody else. Anyway, so that's what happened. That's why I stopped.
So when we open back the borders, you'll be coming back to Trinidad?
I hope so. I want to come back as soon as possible. My husband and I right now, we retired 3 years ago.
Right.
We went and traveled the world. We were gone for 5 months, went to 15 different countries, did all that, sold everything we had in the States. But then we came back, and that's my cat. My children all live here in Fort Worth. So that's why we're back here, and we decided we want to go back into teaching. And when we get the time off, I will definitely come down there if you'll have me. I was so excited about seeing Mr. Walcott and the other people that you've had on the show. I want to meet them. I want to do the Aqua Running. That sounds really good. I bet that would kill me.
Tell me about your club swimming experience, because you was explaining to me for a lot of times you trained by yourself.
Yes, my dad and I lived in Pointe-a-Pierre. And when I started when I was 13, I wasn't very good. We had a couple of people swimming. And then when I turned 14 and I got a little more interested, my dad started coaching. And he didn't know anything about swimming. We bought a book. And the book we bought, my husband's father was in that book. He wrote a chapter in the book.
Right.
So I kind of, you know, how did we end up getting together after all that? But we read the book, and my dad used to go to the pool. We'd look at Mark Spitz workouts, and I would adjust them. I'd make, you know, Mark Spitz do 10 100s on 115. I'd do them on 130. You know, and that's how I did it. And we swam 4 times a day because I couldn't swim longer because I was by myself. I didn't have a team. And when we had national training, that was the only time I'd be with the team. But I did join the Dolphins. I only went there once a week for about 6 months. And that's what I did. I just swam on my own until I went to college.
You have any regrets in your swim career?
Yes, we were talking about that earlier. 1984, not going to the Olympics, not fighting harder, not insisting, not pleading my case. I never pled my case. I went to Los Angeles and trained for 10 weeks with one of the best coaches in the United States. The guy I was with all summer, he got a silver medal at the Olympics. And I did every length that he did. And I trained so hard, but I never got to taper. I never validated that season, all that work, and I never got the rewards for it. But, you know, even though I regret that, I've gotten way more from swimming than I do as far as that regret.
That's good. That's good to know. A question that is on everybody, well, a topic that's on everybody's mind now, diversity in the sports. How do you feel about the diversity that we have in the sports? You could compare Trinidad, the US, from then. How you feel it has improved?
Well, when I was in Trinidad, I felt like we had a lot of diversity on our teams, on the national team. We were represented in, I think, every ethnic group. But when I came to the United States, that's when I realized, wait a minute, there is no diversity in the United States. It was all white. And that was so surprising to me, you know, and upsetting too. And I live in Fort Worth, Texas right now, and we're not providing opportunities for the minorities to get pools. In fact, we only have 2 public pools in all of Fort Worth. We're a big town. And both pools are closed. We used to have 6 or 7, and they just closed them down. They're not providing opportunities for people to learn how to swim. And that's something my husband and I are really working on. We're part of a Fort Worth Drowning Prevention Convention. It's an organization that we're trying to work on how to help people learn to swim and prevent them from drowning. It's a real issue over here. People die if they don't know how to swim. So.
Yeah, because we've been Trinidad and Tobago over the past 2 weeks. We have had a problem as well. I mean, it is a problem worldwide. It seems that people don't put priority on the swimming.
It's swimming, learning how to read, and learning how to swim. To me, are the 2 most important things in life. Everybody should be given that opportunity to learn how to. And I'm a teacher, so I teach reading. But swimming, we have water everywhere. Water's not going away. We have puddles, we have ponds, we have the bathtub. And people don't take it seriously enough. They do not take it. And not only can we talk about swimming, people learn how to swim. But then you learn how to swim, but then the difference between learning how to swim and becoming a swimmer, there's a big difference. The Swimming Association of Trinidad, I think, once we teach people how to swim, we still have to teach them how to become swimmers, a lifetime sport. When my husband and I were in Spain, in Europe, we would go to this public pool every day, and it was packed. Old people, young people, pregnant people, people playing water polo, water all at the same time, all day long. That pool was packed from 5:30 in the morning till 10:30 at night, 7 days a week. And I have not seen it here or anywhere else. And you talked earlier on your message about the swimming pools in Trinidad. Why aren't they full? I swim right now at the YMCA and there's empty lanes. Why? They're crying about the pools being closed, but yet we're not filling them. So we have to talk the talk, walk the walk.
Patricia, I know we have many years of history, but we have very limited time. So I'm giving you your final, anything you want to say to Trinidad and Tobago.
I want to say, swimming for me has given me so much. And my life would not be what it is today if it wasn't for swimming. And if it wasn't for the opportunities that I received when I was in Trinidad. And all the people that helped me when I was there. I could cry. It's kind of emotional because I got so much from this sport. I have a husband that's unbelievable. I have 4 children that are just amazing. And I want to give back for that. And I want everybody to realize that swimming, when you swim or you do anything, make sure it's for you. Set a goal for yourself. Don't worry about beating other people. Keep your, stay focused. Keep your eye on the prize, on your prize, nobody else's prize. If you start worrying about other people, you won't enjoy it and you'll quit. And I don't want to see people quit. I quit for 20 years and I should never have done that. I have more joy now from it and I would never give it up again. So that's my message. Do it makes you happy.
Patricia Bartlett Campbell, I would like to thank you very much for taking the time. We will have to chat again, and we're taking you up on that offer to come back to Trinidad and Tobago.
I can't wait.
Very well. Thank you very much, and please keep safe.
I will. Thank you too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, can you all hear me? Can you all hear me now? Cool.
I don't think we like that.
Good evening. So we have here on screen Sharntelle Mc Lean, Chirstian Homer, and Deronn Samlalsingh. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so we start. Ladies first, Sharntelle Mc Lean. Sharntelle Mc Lean, who was a two-time Olympian. Yeah, shake your head now. Two-time Olympian, and she's now a coach, assistant coach at Torpedo Swim Club. Sharntelle Mc Lean, good evening, and why are you coaching?
Straight off the bat, it's a love for the sport passion that I have for it, and it's a way to me giving back to the sport that has contributed so much to me. Okay.
Same question, Chirstian. What's the reason for coming back? And you have competed a lot on the international stage, etc. What's the reason for coming back to Trinidad and Tobago and coaching?
Well, similar to Sharntelle, just having the ability to give back to the sports. Swimming has done a lot for me in my life personally, opened a lot of doors for me. So I think I wanted to come back and be able, and I got back into swimming as a coach to be able to allow other swimmers or pass on my knowledge to other swimmers to have that a similar opportunity.
And Deronn, same question. What's the reason for getting back after being a swimmer, getting back involved in coaching? I don't know if Deronn is hearing us. I guess he isn't. So, hello, Deronn? Okay, he's not hearing us. Right. So, Sharntelle, coming back to you. So, you felt the need to give back to the sport. I mean, how would you say, in your opinion, the state of competitive swimming is now in Trinidad and Tobago? The atmosphere, performances, in your opinion, what's the state of competitive swimming in Trinidad and Tobago?
Compared to how it was
Good evening.
when I was swimming,
Fierceness. Anything else?
Fierce.
I was hearing Chirstian speaking, but that's the only person I'm hearing.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
You talking about something with Sharntelle? I'm not hearing anyone else.
Oh. So Chirstian, continue. But I don't know, Chirstian might have to be the translator for Rocky. I don't know.
Yes,
Rocky, so you answer Jason and Chirstian currently?
Yeah.
I'm only seeing you. On my screen, I'm only seeing you, and you are currently live.
Are you hearing anybody?
I'm not seeing Jason.
Are you hearing us though? No, he's not.
No, he isn't hearing you.
All right. Yeah, Sharntelle, describe the state of swimming in Trinidad and Tobago in your opinion.
It has, I would say, deteriorated because when I was swimming, we would have like the level, the atmosphere of the swim meets. It would be energetic, it would be fierce. We used to have, from my age, well, till the 14 to 17, we would have probably 5, 6, 7 heats of ladies in that age group going in to try and make finals. Right. Now we have the 15 to 17 females going straight to finals in some of the prominent events of the 100s, the 50s, you know. It has really, it has kind of, the competitiveness, the fierceness has decreased. I would say it's a bit of a more laid back atmosphere. It's a bit of more trying, a few who are seeing the energy and the fierceness coming out from them. A few, probably 2, 3 in a heat of 8, where it should be everybody vying for a spot, you know, to win that podium, for that podium finish.
And Chirstian, you can see you shaking your head a lot, so I guess you're agreeing with Chirstian.
Yeah, definitely similar sentiments. I believe that we have experienced a bit of a decline in the fierceness, as Chirstian said, and the competitive nature that is exuded by the kids. I don't know if it's a generational thing. I mean, I guess Chirstian, yours and my parents would have told us that we were soft, but now we kind of see in that maybe the kids are a little softer than we were. Softer in terms of, I think, fierceness and being competitive. So yeah, I agree with her that definitely at the meets now we are seeing a little bit less heats. Back in my day, it was same thing, 5, 6 heats in some of the longer, harder events, and everybody is a competitor. Everybody want to get a hand on the wall first. Now, as Chirstian said, at the meets, we see a lot of events going straight to finals or 1 or 2 heats. And it's not only a national thing, a local thing, it's regionally, in my opinion, as well. I have seen in Chirstian, CCCAN lately, that there are a lot less heats, you know, in the events. Back in my day, it was the same thing. When you go to CCCAN, Chirstian, it's the same, you know, it's heavy competition. You have multiple heats to contest against. And it's fierce competition to get hand on the wall to get to finals. And, you know, no free rides. So, yeah, we definitely have experience at this time, something like that.
All right. Rocky, you can hear us now?
Yeah, could you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So the question we were asking is to them to describe the state or how they feel about competitive swimming now in Trinidad and Tobago, the state of competitive swimming.
I agree with the points. I mean, a lot of times now, like back in the day, it was hard to predict who would win a race.
Right.
You know who would have this slight edge as a favorite. I mean, Chirstian and Chirstian, they were 2 of the favorites in their races, right? However, now, a lot of times, as you said, as Chirstian used the term, the heat has gone, right? So a lot of time is a race most times for 3rd place or 2nd place because 1st place has gone on beyond that. Additionally, I mean, I personally, I mean, as a child, I suppose you would have derived fun from different things. But I think long time when you go to a swim meet, there was the atmosphere that would encourage that camaraderie, that whole enthusiasm to get up on the blocks and go. For example, you look at COVID, you see like sports like football has started back without fans, right? And if you ask any player, without that extra drive and that oomph by the spectators, it's not as exhilarating the performances. So it wouldn't bring out that best or better side of you with that adrenaline rush. And I think swimming has died down in that regard. I mean, I would talk to my swimmers and they'll be bored sometimes, right? Back in the days, it's always excitement, it's a chant, it's a club against club. Now it's like, all right,
So I entitled it Call Your Three Bright Young Coaches, right? So I'll start with Rocky. How can we start to bring back the fire?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't say that one.
It has to start in the clubs.
Right.
I think we have made the sport just about drill sergeants as opposed to, hey, you know what? Let's bring back the fun in the sport, right? So far, it's all about, all right, we go there, we work out. A lot of times, if you look around the clubs, the older kids don't know the name of the younger kids. They don't know some of their peers' names. And the whole togetherness has been lacking, right? I mean, when they go on teams, they finally meet each other and they realize, hey, you cool. But I think the togetherness in general, right, has gone out the window with swimming. For example, Sharntelle wasn't in my age group, Chirstian wasn't in my age group, but we all related, we all knew each other from swimming. And there was this sort of a togetherness. We swimmers at the end of the day. I think if we bring back that togetherness in the sport, people can have fun. They want to make a national team. They want to compete because you want to beat your friend at the end of the day. Right? It's like sibling rivalry. I think that's the good stuff.
Sharntelle, how you can bring back that togetherness?
Whoa.
I know you. Your thing. I know you. I mean, honestly, I know there was a lot of energy in the Chirifta team. I believe last year. It was last year you were on the Chirifta team.
Yeah.
As a coach.
Yes,
And I know you all tried. How can we bring back that togetherness?
Well, as an example from last year, what we did is that we trained as a national team a lot more. And what also we did, it had a lot of synergy between the coaches and the coaches. The swimmers kind of fed off the I would say the emotions coming off from the coaches. Like we were one united, and we kind of get that into the swimmers. Like if it is we have to, improve in Chirifta last year or improve in our position, we have to do it as a team. It can't be where we on one side or some of the swimmers divided when it comes to coaching. When it comes to the national training, everybody was doing the same, workout and stuff. And what happened is that whilst they were training and they were doing the same training, it was kind of brutal. So you have the sprinters doing the same, some distance, and it was a bit brutal. So I would say the athletes or the swimmers came together because they kind of hated the coaches a little bit, and that's fine. That was a necessary evil because they came together knowing that, even if I am feeling this way tired and whatnot in the training, I'm looking across to the lane next to me and they're doing the same workout and they're getting feeling the same way, and it's, kind of trying to push each other in that aspect.
So, Chirstian, I want to follow up on something that Sharntelle said, and she spoke about national team and national team training. What's your philosophy on that in general?
I am in full support of national team training. In my time, once we had a meet coming up, we had multiple sessions a week where the national team would meet, and it definitely would help in creating a synergy between the members of the team, not only within the members of the team, but with the coaches as well.
Right.
Making sure everybody on the page, making sure everybody on board with what the team goal is. We're going out there to, bring back the trophy for first place. Everybody has to do their part. Everybody know what it will take. We need points here. We need points in this event, etc. Everybody was always on the same page. And in those sessions, as Sharntelle said, some of them used to be real tough, extremely tough. But again, that used to help with bringing the swimmers together, grinding through a long session, whether it was 2-hour session, 3-hour session, baking in the hot sun, and you're grinding through. Having your fellow team members next to you out here, you drive, and just to touch back on what we were speaking about before with creating the atmosphere and getting the performances up. I know one thing that I try to do is try to recreate that on a daily basis with my sessions, with my squad members, try to get them to compete at that level every lap. Even if it's 1,000, we're doing 40 laps in the 25-meter pool. Race every lap, try to reach your first, execute the best flips and whatever, So I think little small things like that will help to boost the sport up a little bit. But yeah, in terms of national training, that's a big plus. Definitely, we should be doing as much as we can to get the kids to do more sessions together to create that bond.
How, I'm sticking with you, Chirstian, but how, I mean, how is that national team training supposed to start? Is it something that we're doing 2 weeks before we see, 2 weeks before the team leaves? Is it something that should be going on months before? Is it something that should be going on? Can't tell, stop shaking your head. I'm coming back to you.
In my opinion, Jason, we have a fair idea of who the national team members may be. And even outside, in my opinion, we would capture those persons. Outside of that, we know who the prospective persons could be as well, who could get on the team based on their past performances or how they're looking throughout the year. So we add them to the mix as well. So we have a pool of swimmers who prospective, plus we know they're almost certain to be on the team. We have a national aquatic center. We try to get use of that, and in my opinion, at least twice a month, at least to start off, twice a month, we have these kids meeting up and grinding out a hard session together. To start forming those bonds, start them getting to know each other. Even relay takeovers, that's one main thing that, last 2 characters, I believe, I saw we DQ'd a couple of relays. And I personally believe is that we possibly didn't get enough practice with relay takeovers with the exact person who's going to be taken over from. So more practice will aid in that aspect, and more practice in general together with your teammates could only be beneficial to create a team that is in sync with everyone is in sync, harmoniously drilling and grinding through towards getting the common goal.
Rocky, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Chirstian said. You asked how long in advance. I mean, I suppose it depends on the team, but in general, right? A lot of times in your club, let's say you are dominant in your age group. Sometimes, let's say you are so fast, you have nobody else in your club to compete against, right? Because, I mean, there are different size clubs. There are different clubs that specialize in different age groups, as much as we like it or not. And when you have to go out there and be intrinsically motivated as a 13 to 14 or 15-year-old, right? Because as you alone trying to do these sets, I mean, we know how difficult. I could coach and I cannot coach myself because I have to have somebody there to push me, to give me that drive. I mean, yes, I want it, but it's difficult to just be swimming hundreds watching the clock. Especially as children, they don't have that drive as yet. So swimming with like-minded individuals, persons with similar speed to you, it can only augur well, because at the end of the day, sometimes you get to, let's say, 8, 10 sessions. By the time you start to feel yourself, these sessions sometimes separated, let's say twice a week. By the time you start to really taper there and you feel all right, I'm getting somewhere, it's time for the games. So your best, you really didn't reach your pinnacle. Additionally, I mean, if we go in with the national standard of coaches, right? I mean, yes, granted, each coach is good in their own right. If we have a standard that is a national coach, shouldn't we give these kids a greater exposure to them? Because these coaches, at the time, I mean, in a club, not everybody's going to be on a team. So a workout will have to be made for the entire club and can't just be made for the national swimmers, right? Most people don't have that lane space.
Right.
So then these persons can't, I mean, they could be tapered, but they can't taper like they would really be tapered with the national team, right? So workouts are not at the point it should be when you're with your club sometimes. If your club have 1 or 2 persons who made it, right? You really think the club has the availability to take a whole lane for this 1 person or 2 persons. So I just think we need to do better planning. As Chirstian said, we have a normal, the squad that we know will make it. We have the contingency squad, right? Or if you want to call it the B squad, right? And these persons, these B squads could lift their game because they are wrong, these persons who they admire, who they want to swim with. And they're now seeing that this is possible. And the standard just keeps going up and going up because we all pull each other up the ladder. I think putting better systems in place to encourage that camaraderie will only work well.
I think spinning off of that, where Jason said, the 2 weeks that they have on that we do in preparation for the the games itself. So take that 2 weeks and we actually bring the team together every day for that 2 weeks, and you get the atmosphere, that team unity. You have different initiatives outside of the pool, get to know them in that sense, and you have the team. I don't want to say it's a concentration camp, but they are getting more involved and more aware of who my teammates are, and they are able to, when they go across there, you're actually seeing one team. It's not no from this club, that club. It's Trinidad and Tobago swim team you will be seeing.
Sharntelle, I'm glad you jumped in. I was gonna ask you the next question actually. How how do you think? What do you think of the process, or what do you think should be the process for national coach selection? Sharntelle?
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm here. I was going to say that, I saw that, not sure if it's last year or when it was, but I saw that they were collecting background data on coaches in terms of what level they are at. And, from there, I think the coaches, when the coaches do come together, they have that database stating what level these coaches are at. If they have these coaches come together at a meeting in terms of availability, and they do it on a merit base. They see this coaches for head coach position. You have, I would say, from level 3 up. If you're using the ASCA level, coaching levels, from level 3 go up, you have a position for the head coach, and the 2 go down, and also based on, I would say, the years of experience that they have, and if they have something to show in terms of the same progress, the coaches, the senior coaches, or whoever is seeing progress from this coach with the swimmers that they have or the charges that they have, they can select those coaches. But it's a very tricky. I don't know how to really answer that question. To see, I'm really not sure.
Chirstian, you have any ideas on how the national coach selection process should be?
Not too much. I think currently we kind of nominate persons, and I think, in my opinion, that could work. I mean, once you get input from everyone, from all the coaches who they would want to put up as head coach and assistant coaches, etc. Outside of that, I can't really think of any other way of doing it. I agree with Sharntelle that maybe a merit point system might be beneficial. It would also encourage coaches to up their education as well, and they push and try to get better results from their athletes, to get merit to get onto the teams as head coach or assistant coach, whatnot. But I think currently nominating maybe is where we are right now, and once everyone has an input as to who should go and whatnot, I think that's fine for now, in my opinion.
Do you think the process is fair now?
Well, from what I've seen in the meetings, the team selection meetings, names are put up, and they ask if coaches are available, and with the available coaches, then we kind of nominate who we want to send as coaches. I would say that in the last 2 meetings that I went to, I did see an emphasis placed on trying to get younger coaches to go as assistant coaches. So that was good to see. That was a little bit of motivation as well, to know that there's a spot for the young coaches to get on and start to get experience on those teams as a coach.
Okay, you have an opinion on the matter?
Yeah, I think there should maybe a panel or something, but I think it should stem around different factors, right? For example, as a coach, you should be at swim meets firstly to know some of the kids, right? So I think a lot of times the voting process is based on who's popular, right? So you and I could go up, and it's if the clubs like you and you are more people's person, you will get it. And it's not about the fact that, all right, this is a goodwill games. Maybe you are better with the younger athletes. What do we want you for? I think we try to put the coach in place, then to get him to fit the role you want him to, instead of looking at the role and picking a coach that fits that role now. Right? For example, I remember goodwill. No, I didn't go down Goodwill, but it was a Goodwill, I think the year after I went. And one of the coaches has been coaching since I was a swimmer. And he went up, right? And I think is a meet you're trying to develop coaches with, because we could continue pushing the experienced coaches only. And then when they are out of the game, what have the youngsters learned from them? Because, I mean, that's the best persons to get knowledge from. They have been there, they have been through it, they can teach you. So when you have a host for developmental meets as little as Goodwill, and you have a host of experienced coaches, I think it defeats the purpose of it. So I think based on the games you're going to, right, instead of us trying to get the coach and mold him into the setting we want, we should look, all right, has this coach been at meets? How are they with developmental swimmers? How do their developmental swimmers look? And do a bit more research, and you look at the coaches and then decide. I think it shouldn't just be based on, all right, this club likes so, this club likes so, because a lot of the times the clubs know the person as an individual and not their coaching strong points, to be honest.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. Sharntelle, I should ask you a hard question now. Should I ask you a hard question now?
Actually,
is there respect? Do coaches respect one another in Trinidad and Tobago?
no. I don't think there's enough going around with them. No.
With us? With us or with them?
In these fraternity, there's not enough respect going around. No, not with everybody. No.
Why?
And I think it stems from some of the personal. I think sometimes it's something personal, or the coach rubbed it the wrong way, or something. I'm not really sure, but the respect is not noticeable with, especially among the more experienced coaches. Sometimes how they act and how they carry about themselves, I'm not pleased with it.
Chirstian, same question. Is there respect in the coaching fraternity, some coaches?
In my opinion, between some and not so much between others.
Since I
was a little boy swimming, there's been tension between some certain coaches, and even as a big man in coaching, as a coach now on deck, I still see that tension and animosity being shown between certain coaches who had beef maybe 10, 15 years ago when I was swimming. So that to me is mind-blowing. That's sad, and the sport is really regret. Well, there's some regression going on there and no progress being made. There's definitely animosity between some coaches. However, in my opinion, there are some coaches who do get along really well. There are some initiatives currently playing in the background that has been very beneficial, where coaches have come together and collaborated to get certain goals achieved. And proud to say that at least there's that shining light going on in the background.
Now, I'm watching some of the comments on the live, and some people saying the coaches are talking guarded. Rocky, you're talking guarded? You have any comments to make on the coaching thing?
Personally, it has been a dog eat dog, and it is the mentality. Chirstian made a point just now. Chirstian, I will call your name, boy. But yes, you said that there's respect among some. And for example, if I have someone who's available in certain areas, I will tell them go by certain coaches, right? You see, I think it's a lack of confidence in your skill. When you look at a coach who is bad talking somebody else, it's a lack of confidence in your skill that you feel like you have to belittle somebody for you to look better, right? I always say personally, if you know your service is at a standard, you need not bad talk anybody. They have their product, and you don't understand what works for them. So the same thing you bad talk, somebody else might love, right? And I think we have forgotten that the sport is what we're trying to raise the bar for. right? Not ourself. It has become a selfish plot that we try to say, hey, you know what? I am the best. There are enough swimmers in the country, right?
Yep.
You will get swimmers by being good. You don't have to go. It matters not what. If I know Chirstian is good at something, I will applaud him on it. If I don't, and my words are, if I don't think I haven't seen the results of that from him, I will say, hey, you can check him out. I'm not sure how he does it, but there's no need, I think. The circle is so small for us to be bad talking. And then you go on a team and you're all chummy and you're pretending to be friends. Oh, we cool. No, it makes no sense, honestly, because I've seen, and that's what I like. I mean, when you told me about this initially, I was happy with the two persons I had to do it with because when I see them, I always say, I look at the swimmers, I applaud. I mean, I would say, hey, I like how they relate to their swimmers. And I think that's a very big thing. I don't care how good your workouts are. If you can't relate to your swimmers, you have a big problem, right? And I think it's passing over the baton. Persons are guarded with it. They want to hold on to this torch because I suppose that's what they know as their life. Not knowing that, hey, you know what? We could all share the torch. Everybody gets something from it. And the sport itself that we claim to love could grow and blossom. We can't do it individual by individual. The coaches as a whole have to grow the sport. And sorry, I really can't remember her name distinctly, but she went away and she had to find her way back to swimming. That's how all of us feel. Right? Even when I dropped out of swimming and I hated 5 o'clock workouts, I in the swim meets there, and I'm watching and I'm supporting because we love the sport. And if we love it, we need to try to help it blossom. We can't try to put a stranglehold on it and try to make it our sport and make it about us. We have to do better. I think as coaches, I hear older folks trying to, I mean, even I just came into it, I would hear the shushoos. And at the end of the day, we, I suppose as younger coaches, have had to become more resilient and realize our worth. And persons have started to see it. We don't have the wealth of experience to have Olympian or somebody of that standard because a lot of us just started. We have blossomed, groomed the younger ones. But in time, we will get there, right? So it's all about building blocks. We continue to do what we could. And let's try and, it's one fraternity, it's one sport.
Not many swimmers.
I mean, enough of what something Rocky said just now there, and it's totally relatable. Like the couple swimmers that we have now. I mean, when I used to swim, it was more of a general, or I should say, a soldier mentality. The swimmers that we had here, we were kind of like, well, I would speak for myself. I was more like a robot. I didn't used to talk much in training. When you tell me to do something, I am doing it, and I'm going at it in the pool in training, to the best of my ability. Sometimes I will cry and I don't answer back or talk to the coaches in a sort of way. And I didn't used to come out and tell the coach how I feel and whatnot. But the generation of swimmers that we have now, it is totally different. And as Rocky said, you have to be relatable to them. And each swimmer is not the same. And that's how they used to be before. We had a tailored cut. Same thing applies to everyone. But nowadays, you cannot do that. There's so much that we are against with these new generation of swimmers, new generation of children, that you really have to get to know them, background of them, so that you know what it is or what it takes to make them click. You have to know their background when it is they come in, kind of let them know that, I am here if you want to talk. You have to be more than just a swim coach. It's an all-round stuff. The psychology of these swimmers now, or for us, we have to be on point. We have to be on top of the game because we have a lot of outside externalities that we are fighting against. So when you come to the swimmers are not just coming to swim. They come in, they're expressing themselves. They come in, this is a way for them to vent. You need to know what swimmer, when it is you see that swimmer walks in on deck, you know something is wrong. So it's not one thing applies to all. You have to know the swimmers, and it's a lot. And I would say it's a learning process, it's a growing process, but like you have to really be in it, not just to just have your next national swimmer do. You want that, but it's a lot of work and it's an all-round effort.
Sharntelle, are the young coaches ready to talk and come forward and make themselves be heard. I mean, a lot of times, I say it as it is, a lot of times, a lot of coaches hide in the background and just take whatever is pitched out. If they get a national team, they say, all right, thank you very much. We talking here, we talking openly, and the young coaches ready now to, you young coaches, ready to stand up and let yourself be heard.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah. We really do have to. We as the coaches, want to see, past swimmers, now coaches, want to see a difference and a change. We really do have to come out there and now make it happen.
But I also think, I suppose, can't read minds, but I saw Sharntelle hesitated. And she said it's coming because, I mean, to do that and for us to voice how we feel and really step to the plate, it will have to be confrontational because we are looked at as the novices and our work is often overlooked, right? So as we go along, I mean, the Sharntelle and Chirstian to me have been very passive individuals. They normally laid back, right? I suppose like everybody else, they have their boiling points. But for us to try to reach out there, I don't think any of us have to defend what we know, right? We see results on a daily basis, whether others choose to overlook it or not. We see the results. And for us to go out there, we are not the cocky individuals that will try to say, look, I produce this, I produce that. Our results speak for themselves. And that's what it's about, is a result-based sport, right? Eventually, our names will get the respect it deserves. If not, who cares? We keep producing in the background, right? And I mean, I really admire that with Linky especially. He would produce numbers of swimmers, and you'd never see him in the limelight trying to get that shine. And we are not confrontational. Hey, at the end of the day, people will see what we have to offer, and they have been seeing it. In time, the light will shine brighter and wider.
Agreed.
Chirstian, you believe the light will shine? Is it that, or is it that? Is it that the light will shine, or are you all waiting for the light to shine, or are you all going to start shining the light?
I think, as Rocky said, for the light to shine tomorrow, things will have to get very confrontational.
What's the problem? I mean, all of yours spoke, because no, I'm bringing it. All of yours spoke about the atmosphere of swimming, and yeah. I mean, maybe that's what is needed. Because you all talk about really the trajectory the swimming is going, and it's not going the direction that you all want it to go. Is it the time for that confrontation?
Well, I think we definitely need a change somewhere, whether that be admin change, how coaches view each other, collaboration between coaches, the national team training, etc. We need definitely some more new initiatives, maybe some fresh initiatives going on within the association to try and boost our performances and change the atmosphere and how we view each other as coaches in the administration. Wow. In the meantime, though, as Rocky and Sharntelle saying, our work will show for itself all the time. We know what we are about. We know what the end is.
I cut in only because I'm not taking that. All your work will show for yourself. That's not working, right? Why we have to wait on the association? Why Chirstian, Sharntelle, and Rocky can't get together and say, hey, let's do a coaching clinic? I
like this program, and Jason, you have been great at admin. So why don't you lead the charge?
I am here. I am leading the charge. I'm putting it. More. They say I'm just talking loud, and I don't want to be that person. But what can we get collaboration among the younger coaches? Why younger coaches can't come together, put something in place that is positive, and take it to the community? And my point about it is, if you all are doing something positive, right, and somebody is in a club that is not doing something positive, you're not going out, you're working together and you're doing your thing and they're seeing what you're doing. If that club wants to stay at the wayside, so be it, the person leaves that club. I mean, you're just doing positive things. Why it is the young coaches can't come together and do positive things?
Because of brainwashing.
Why you all Why can't you all be the brainwashers?
Because that's not our style. At the end of the day, I mean, me personally, I am not going to bad talk a coach or try to sell myself in a way where another coach looks bad.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there is an element of brainwashing, and especially persons who are new to the sport or persons who are none the wiser, right? It's like, I mean, politics. The man who could better speak most times wins because he sells you on his vision and his dream, even though it's not the reality. And we as the younger coaches, we don't get involved in the bacchanal and the shoo-shooing. We go out on the deck, we do our part, and then we live our lives. At the end of the day, I mean, my heart is in the ring. I am willing to see the sport of swimming grow. That's why I started coaching. That was where my love came from, seeing the sport grow. I know how a lot of swimmers felt in my times, how I felt as a swimmer, and I know I can impart knowledge and help my swimmers to develop, right? I am not about going out there to brainwash parents into, you know, I have the best product. There are certain things other coaches could do better than I can, right? And that is the reality. Each one can reach one. I can reach some individuals, right, that Sharntelle and Chirstian can reach. They can reach individuals I can't even think about reaching. I would know how to start, right? And at the end of the day, us all holding hands, coming together, putting a blanket over swimming, and just making sure, hey, you know what, we have the right vision, and we could decide, all right, we could set this as a platform moving forward. People will buy into it, right? So I put the ball in your court, Mr. Wickham, right? And
you never call me Mr. Wickham before, you know.
Yeah, but
don't go there. I know where you're going, but don't go there. Yeah. Sharntelle, I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, we created this platform because the thing about it is, I think we all have a lot to offer. I think the young coaches have a lot to offer. It's not, and this is not just tokenism or just saying it. They all have a lot to offer the fraternity. And I think sometimes if you can't find a way within the, I'll share myself. The reason that I'm being frank, I can't see myself really sitting down in meetings and stuff as I used to in the past. And I found this as my avenue to get positive information out there. I know you have, I don't want this to sound bad, but I know you have helped Chirstian hand already in coaching and helped to develop an athlete. Are you willing to hold Rocky's hand too? And Chirstian, you're willing to hold Rocky's hand too and you see? Hands
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the three of us here, and I'm sure there are others, we are very much willing to collaborate. And as Rocky alluded to, what we want to do is make sure that we do our part to get the kids to a better state, to uplift the standard of swimming in Trinidad and Tobago, get more representation on an international level, get more kids going out there internationally and representing us on a yearly basis. That's all that we want. And in my opinion, to get that done, it requires collaboration from coaches. It requires a united association. It requires less backbiting and politics and everything that we all know is going on. We kind of need to change our mentality.
And more coaches who know the right thing speaking out.
Of course, yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's just about making that change, and it's kind of trying to figure out how that change gonna come about. But it will come about. It has to naturally. Things change, and it will for the better. We have ourselves, our younger coaches coming up. We kind of will have the torch in our hands soon to make sure that we mold swimming in Trinidad and Tobago how we want it to progress, and it will progress.
So I just want to read 2 comments and then we'll wrap up. Someone said confrontation doesn't mean to fight and argue. It just means lifting the carpet and sweeping out the dust. Doesn't mean cutting down. Does not mean cut down. One can be assertive but not aggressive. And someone else put the swimming world needs what you have to offer. Don't be afraid to step out and initiate change. Chart the course. And we talk about charting because I want to remind you all that Sherelle has her function, her Zoom this weekend, birthing a new era. I think that's one of the positive things a swimmer is taken to do, to chart a new course, and I hope everybody tuned in 4 p.m. on starting from this Saturday, you all should have gotten the information from your clubs. Sharntelle, you heard I put you on the spot sometimes. I know I get you to say things you probably didn't think you'd have say in public, but that's fine. I'm giving you your last words for Trinidad and Tobago for tonight and Chlorine Callaloo. Anything you want to say?
As you say, for Trinidad and Tobago, I think that is what should be the goal on everyone's minds when it is that we are in this sport. It is for Trinidad and Tobago. The coaches have to be for Trinidad and Tobago, the swimmers for Trinidad and Tobago. That should be the goal, and everything else should be left at the wayside. That's what we need in order to move forward, a collaborative effort for Trinidad and Tobago. It has to be that as the center when it is ever we go to swim meets, whenever we go into council meet, if we go to council meeting, when we go into that, it should be for Trinidad and Tobago. What is the best for us going forward?
Thank you, Sharntelle. Chirstian, final words?
Yeah, similar. I want to echo what Sharntelle said, that if we have the aim of producing the best aquatic athletes, I say aquatic athletes because, we want to include water polo and synchronized swimming that we don't have yet, but we will get soon, hopefully. We want to make sure we encompass in all the aquatic sports, but we want to make sure that we have a common goal. I mean, our goal should be to get athletes out there on the international stage. Olympics come straight down. And that should be at the forefront of all coaches' minds on a daily basis when they get onto deck. That's my motivation to get my kids to that level, because I know they put in any time, I'm putting any time, their parents put in any time. That's what we all want for them. So in coaches' meetings and athlete meets, whatever it may be, national training, that should be the goal for everyone, getting the building blocks, the stepping stones in place to get our athletes out there and representing us at that high level. So everything really needs to take a backseat. Egos, politics. I think we kind of need to refocus as a whole, put things in place to ensure that we have successful athletes.
And Mr. Samlalsingh, same question.
I think we need to lose the small-mindedness. I mean, honestly, like I trained with 2 clubs previous to being coach at RWB now, and I still, you can ask parents, you know them, I will still tell them, hey, so, I realize they're not doing so, all right? And they're competing against my swimmers, right? I'm not being paid for this. It is my duty as a coach, because I don't see myself as just a coach for RWB. At the end of the day, excuse the letters, it's not me trying to brand, but the flag here means more than any club in this country does to me. We need to lose this small-minded nature that I'm trying to get my club there. At the end of the day, if guys in nature, maybe you should go coaching up maybe a community pool or something, right? We're trying to get it up to that regional aspect and more further, right? So let's just try to be the building blocks for the sport, right? You do not know everything. I do not know everything. We can always use the advice, right? We can always use a helping hand. Stop being selfish and thinking it's your pride that is being attacked. The swimmers need our help. If somebody could get across a message better than you can, come on. I think we need to stop letting our prides ruin us. All right? I thank everybody else for coming out too. And Chirstian, Sharntelle, it was nice chatting with you, even you, Jason.
You're on. You close off my program.
It's not part of me, so I say my farewell.
No, but honestly, I deliberately try to get some of you all to step out of your comfort zone, because at the end of the day, I said it directly to you all, and I'm saying I have a lot to offer on the civic community from your various experiences in various trials and whatever. And I would really like to see that the next half to the national good and start working on things to help to really develop the community. Put aside those, there's a comment I make all the time. Most of the coaches in Trinidad and Tobago have produced a Carifta gold medal, right? Most of the coaches. How many of them have produced Olympians? What is the reason that we have this big disparity between this coach feel this coach better than this one and all of that kind of things. I think there's so much that you all could offer. And I'm sure now the challenge to you, and since Mr. Samlalsingh wants to challenge me as well, after this, we will form a WhatsApp group and let us see what we could get going from this. Because this is, unless we do something after this, we waste time.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with that. No problem. I am both.
Very well. I'd like to thank Sharntelle. I'd like to thank Chirstian. I'd like to thank Deronn. I'm calling him Rocky all night, but same person. Also Patricia Bartlett Campbell. And who else we had? Anthony Walcott. Asia Joseph, he was in and out, but she had a good session with Dryland Dimensions. Thank you very much. Thank you for staying. We have 9 cities. Yeah, thank you for staying so long, and I wish you all a good night. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Take care.
Bye.